back to that dad guy. So today we are talking stamps. We have two envelopes that came in last week. One from Hans in Germany that is going to touch on a new country. Not a new country, but a different country than we normally talk about. And we'll do a little history on that one and bring myself a little bit more up to speed on it. And we got an envelope from Shire in Ontario, and she sent some postal related stamps. So I want to show those, and then after I finish showing those, we're going to get into what Hans sent. So stick around for that. Now, if this is the first time you found my channel, then make sure you're subscribed so you see more in the future. Put the notification bell on, like. You can leave me a comment if this is the first time you've seen the channel. Love to hear from you. And like Shire, if you ever need to contact me, my address is in the description of every one of my videos. And so that's why we're going to start with Shire first. She sent this really cool envelope that she's done out with stickers and things, and it had a whole bunch of different gifts in it. She wanted to say hello and that she's been watching the channel, and that she sent these particular stamps because they had something to do with the postal systems from around the world. They were in her collection, and she thought she would send them on to me so I could show them to you. So let's have a look. There are 8 stamps she sent. The first 2 here are from Indonesia. So you can see there is a post box there. Maybe an Indonesian post box. And then an interesting way maybe to deliver the mail. I'm not sure exactly what is going on in this one here. And then we have these ones from Japan. So we have Snoopy delivering the mail. And then we have a child at a post box. And you can see the letter flying through the air with the rainbow behind it. And then we have these ones from Sri Lanka. You can see all the different zones there. And here is a sortation belt going off into all the trucks. And then these ones from Romania. This is a linked one, which is really cool. And then she mentioned she didn't have any Ukrainian stamps, so she thought she'd send me these 2 tractor stamps from Germany. I'm not sure what the correlation was, but thank you for that, as they're duplicates. And they may be duplicates in my father's collection, and if they are, they'll go off to somebody else. Thank you so much, Shire, for those stamps. It's kind of neat to see different post boxes and different letter sortation things that are happening around the world in the postal system, and how much they're very similar to what we have where we are right now. So we have those kind of belts on the trucks, of course, and yeah, flying letters with rainbows, they happen here too. But okay, I wanted to thank her for that, and then I'll move on to Hans. He sent, first of all, he sent this, was a first day issue, this stamp here. It is 70 years for the Holocaust Memorial. So he wanted to send that with the cancellation mark on to me. And then he has sent stamps from Namibia in Africa. And the reason why he chose that is he said when he was just a younger gentleman, he went there to do some developmental aid and set up a small bakery. And he had some stamps left over from his time there. So he thought he'd send them on to me, which I appreciate. But before I get into showing you that, I wrote down some notes, and I've got a few images here that I'm going to show, including the flag and map, and where are we talking about in the world? We're talking about Africa, we're talking about Southwest Africa. So Namibia was around for a long time, as we all know. But for me, I didn't really know about this country a whole lot. I have heard of it. Had prior to today, or when I received these stamps, had you asked me to point it out on a map, I could not do that to you. So we are going to show you it on a map now, so you can be as knowledgeable or more knowledgeable than I am when we finish this video. You can see it is just north of South Africa. It is on the coast. It gets its name from Namib Desert, which is the oldest desert in the world. It means vast place. So you're going to see why it means vast place based on some of these images that come here. It is one of the least populated countries in the world per capita, has a population of 2.5 million people. I'm going to put the flag up so you can see what that is. In the 14th century, the Bantu people from Central Africa started migrating towards there. Before that, they just kind of had nomads that were coming and going through it for centuries upon centuries. In 1485, the Portuguese arrived but didn't claim the land. They were the first Europeans, I guess, to touch foot on it. And then in 1870, Finnish missionaries arrived in northern Namibia, and they were preaching the gospel of Lutheranism. So they were the first to arrive, and in today's religions in the country, Lutheranism is the highest preached, followed religion that's still there amongst Christianity. And Christianity holds almost a 90%. 90% of the population are Christians. I think it's 89.7 or something like that, and about 47% of them are Lutherans. What happened next? Oh, in 1878, the British annexed Walvis Bay and the offshore Penguin Islands. The reason I bring that up is because they will have an impact later on. So if you can picture it on the map there, you've kind of got this new area. You've got the British taking a couple islands offshore and a central land bay that they could use to come and go out of. So that became British colonies. And then in the 1884, though, Germany came in and said, okay, southwestern Africa is ours, based on Otto von Bismarck, and he was trying to stop the British from seizing control of the whole area. They were already in other parts of Africa around, and so he was trying to put a landlock on it. And with his authority of 1884, it became a German colony. And in 1904, the locals started causing uprising. They didn't want German control. They didn't want the strict rules that were going in place that were oppressing natives. And from 1904 to 1907, there was a giant uprising. So during that period, what the Germans decided to do was mass genocide. They were just going to kill off all the natives. And so in doing so, they killed 10,000 Nama, which was 50% of their population, and they killed 65,000 Herero, which was 80% of the population. The rest of the population, after they stopped the genocide, went in camps and territories, much like you would have seen with apartheid in South Africa. And it was kind of a foreshadowing of what might be to come. So they were segregated off. In 1918, though, at the end of the First World War, with the signing of the Treaty of Versailles, which stopped German control, Germany was kind of broken up. And so the territories that was German South Africa, or Southwest Africa, became under control of South Africa. They went in and ruled it, and during that time, they decided that they'll run it like a territory. At the end of the Second World War, when the Germans lost another war, at that point in time, the UN, which was created in 1948, they said, okay, all the territories that were ceded during the Treaty of Versailles, they're all going to get their independence and be able to start on their own. And South Africa said, whoa, wait. Southwest Africa is ours. And in 1949, they said, yeah, we're taking control of that. The system of apartheid went into place, and what was being done in South Africa was now also being done in Southwest Africa. And Southwest Africa became a key military spot, because not only did we have the end of the Second World War, but when we went into the 1950s and the 1960s, we had the beginning of the Cold War. And so as there were starting to be uprisings and people wanting to go and to help and get independence, South Africa was ruling with an iron fist basically in Southwest Africa, or against all the native people as they were in their own country. And so groups like the Southwest African National Union and Southwest African People's Organization and the People's Liberation Army of Namibia, they started to need weapons and training. And they were getting that from the Soviet Union, because the Soviet Union decided it would be a good point in order to keep there from being a full control in that area by the Western powers. So they started to supply ammunition and training. They also started bringing in Cuban military into Africa. And so there was an armed insurrection once again in 1971. And then it went on for quite some time through the 70s and 80s, the back and forth. And South Africa, in the end, in 1988, held a ceasefire and said if the Cubans would leave, the Cuban military would leave Africa, then they would give up control of southwestern Africa, more specifically Namibia. And so in 1990, Namibia got its full independence. And they got parliamentary democracy. So it wasn't a Soviet communist country. It was a democratic state. They just, through those decades, used weapons and training from the Soviet Union in order to get their control. And then it was no longer a white suppressed nation or a Western suppressing of an Aboriginal nation. They now could run their own country. And so that's what they did. In 1990, they got that. And then in 1994, those two things we talked about before, Walvis Bay and the Penguin Islands, were ceded back to Namibia. So they got their control. They came back from South Africa as well. So that is how we have Namibia. And that's where it all comes from. It's this vast place that has diamonds, it has gold, it has lots of mining for precious minerals, offshore oil, it's there. So it does have quite a lucrative export business going on. And it is relatively safe to travel to now. There were times, of course, that we just talked about, not so safe, but doing much better now. All right, now let's get into the stamps that were sent to me by Hans. Here you can see their flag, the country, its shape, the Olympics, and its participation. This is Barcelona Stadium, so those were the Olympics it's showing. And then here we get it to irrigations. So when you live in a desert country, irrigation and water is very important. There is a beautiful wildlife in the area, so heavily known for the cheetah population. Not that you're seeing cheetahs in these stamps, but you have cattle and other things that go on. And there is the municipal building in the capital. Gypsum. And then finally, there's this specialty sheet that he sent, fish, from the National Philatelic Exhibition. That would have been neat to see. Not a lot of stamps, but I'm very thankful, Hans, for sending these to me. I went and looked at my father's collection. He didn't have any stamps from that country, so these will be the only ones that I have from that country. And now I have a history to go along with it. I know where it is. I know a little bit about its political background, its exports, its landscapes, geography. So thanks for once again giving me an opportunity to learn about another country and to hopefully share a little bit with you guys with something maybe you didn't know. It's all about learning, and every day we're learning something new. So thank you to my new friends, Shair, and to Hans, who once again sent stamps. Trying to get his envelope here as well. There we go. And yeah, wonderful, wonderful. That's all I got for today. Hopefully you guys learned a little bit. I know I did. So have a magical week. What, Polo? You say like, subscribe, share, and tell all your friends. Who's a good boy? Who's a good boy?